Hello business owners. Today we're going to be talking about why a lack of digital presence will ultimately kill your company, brand, firm in the future. Now I know that's a very aggressive statement to make, but by the end of this video, hopefully you're going to understand exactly why that is the case. So when we're talking about a company going out of business, we're ultimately talking about sales, right? If you can't manage your sales, if you're not getting a constant flow of new inquiries coming in and a constant percentage of that being turned into paying clients, how do you know if your company is going to survive? It's ultimately what will secure your future as a business. So going right into it, when we talk about sales, we always have to talk about the customer journey, right? How does a customer go from a prospect to a paying client? So here we've mapped out a simple 4-phase customer journey. Awareness, they have to firstly be aware that they have an issue that needs to be solved. Research, after they're aware of the issue, what are the details of my issue and how can I possibly solve it? Evaluation, what are the actual options out there? What companies provide services or products? What kind of services, what kind of products are there that can actually fix my problem? And of course, the decision, at the end of it, you're going to pick whichever product or service you believe will fix your issue, and you also pick the brand or company you believe will actually follow through with what they've promised. Great, so I've split this into two different columns here. We've got traditional and modern. Traditional really in this case means I'm talking about pre-internet, pre-social media, and modern is post-internet, post-social media. And that really is, I guess, the arena we're playing in now. It's the digital arena. So originally, awareness, I can talk a lot about that. We're going to skip it for this video because don't need to talk about it for this specific topic. We're going to assume that the potential customer knows that they have an issue that needs to be solved. Research, what do they do? Right? This is before the internet. This is times where traveling is a lot more expensive. You go locally, you talk to a professional, you try to find someone who knows what they're talking about with whatever if you're trying to solve. They educate you as well as during the process trying to sell you a product, obviously. So then we go into evaluation. Now, maybe you only speak to one person. If you're diligent, maybe you speak to 3, right? This is local. There aren't too many options to go with. So you're going to compare local options. Maybe you're speaking to 2 or 3 different people about what they're offering, what's the product or service that solves your issue. You weigh out the pros and cons, and eventually you'll decide to go with the person you trust the most and who seems like they'll best fit your specific scenario. So now we go to modern. Like I said, no difference here. We're not going to the awareness step. Let's just say that they know that there's an issue that needs to be solved. From there, they go directly to the internet, right? It takes a second to pull out your phone, to go to Google and to type something in. And you can virtually type in anything and you'll get results. So you go to the internet, all the knowledge is there, all the information is there, and you go through a deep dive research yourself. You can basically come out of that being a soft expert in whatever field that you're looking into. Now you want to say, okay, well, I understand how I can potentially, maybe I need to find an accountant, maybe I need to go buy a new phone, maybe I need to get this sort of TV or monitor screen, whatever it is. You go online and you look for the specific options, right? So you're trying to find out, okay, what companies, what brands, what offer the kind of services I'm looking for. What are the pros and cons? How much are they? You're really looking at a lot of the data and stats. You're looking at reviews. You're looking at a lot of these things. Then you shortlist and then you contact. If you have any other questions, a lot of the times you'll just buy outright. And then of course, you pick the person or the company or the brand and the product which you think will best solve your issue. All right, so the differences. What are the key differences that we see between these two journeys? One of the key ones is from the eyes of you guys, the business owners, right? The people actually provide the services or the solution. You are part of the customer's journey from here all the way down. Remember, these are local options, right? So geography plays a big part. If they're nearby to you, they'll come to you. And during this whole process, you have a huge opportunity to build rapport with the client and try to convince them why, not only educating them, but convincing them why, well, I'm the best person to solve your issue. Look at me, I have all the knowledge, I understand your issue, and I know exactly how to solve it, right? So you have a huge opportunity to build rapport from the get-go, okay? But what about now? What about in the modern times where people are going directly to the internet? They're only contacting the service providers at the very end, if at all. All right. Of course, for professions like accounting, more high level professions or bigger purchases, whether they be big product purchases, you're going to have to contact them and get in touch. But you're still only contacting the people that you shortlist. And how do you shortlist? You look at websites, you look at digital assets. Maybe you've read an article from someone that you really like. Maybe you've watched a video that you found very, very helpful, right? So there's all these things that are happening digitally that help build rapport. It's the same concept as here. You're trying to build rapport with the client without even them contacting you, because that's how people go about with their customer journey. This is how they end up buying a product. And you've got to adapt. In sales and marketing, you have to adapt to the changes that customers are going through, because if you don't, and you're not where customers' eyes are, then you'll eventually fizzle out as a company. So they're only contacting you at the end of this stage, and they've already looked at options. Okay, and one more key thing to say is it's the internet. Okay, in today's time, travel is inexpensive and easy, and the internet allows us to communicate and reach the entire world, right? So when you're considering an accountant's a great example, right? If you're considering an accountant and you want to find options, you Google search it. How many options come up? Right? Melbourne CBD, Sydney CBD, or Port Lonsdale, right? Like, a lot of options come up, and you're more than happy to drive an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3. You know why? Because once you choose your accountant, or once you choose your professional, you don't really need to be there all the time, because you can talk on the phone, you can do Zoom calls, video conference calls. So you have a much higher level of competition. And at the same time, you're also dealing with a much bigger target audience. There's a bigger potential for you to get more people on board, right? So that really is the key difference. At the end of the day, you're still going to pick the person that you believe is the best. But if you're not part of this phase, then they're not even going to consider you. And even if you're in this phase, if you don't have like a nice, clean, well-articulated, high graphics, great images on your website, on your digital assets, you won't be shortlisted, because other people do, and you're competing with those other people. All right, so I think that's a pretty good quick summary of that. Let's talk about now, I actually want to go through some stats. I always want to go through some stats. So let's have a look really quickly. All right, so these stats are from December 2019, and these are all about internet and social media. So worldwide population, 7.8 billion. Internet users, 4.5 billion. That's over half. The internet's only been around for 30, 40 years. Social media's only been around for 20 years. But the amount of mass adoption that we've seen is ridiculous. So well over half the world's population is on the internet. Active social media users, 3.7 billion. Active, on average, an internet user has 5+ social media accounts. It's a very conservative number. Average time spent on social daily, 142 minutes. Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp handle 60 billion messages a day. Facebook has 2.5 billion users, Instagram 1 billion, LinkedIn 660 million, YouTube 1.9 billion. And this one's really important for all business owners. Google searches 100 billion searches per month. And that's an average of 40,000 searches every second. 60 million active business pages on Facebook, and 5 million active advertisers on Facebook. Now, Facebook is a very key one to be on when it comes to social media for businesses. All right, so let's go into some specific examples, right? I'm going to take a product example and a services example. That fits basically everyone, right? So JB Hi-Fi, a massive retailer. Now, if you're on the market for a product, okay, maybe I'm looking for a new phone, or I'm looking for a new audio headset. Okay, what do? I go online. What do I search in? I type in Google, I type in, best, depending on my budget, best phone under $1,000, Samsung versus Apple. Best headset for under $200, or whatever it is, whatever the case may be. Best headset for making video calls, best webcam, all these kind of things. You're looking online and you're learning about the product for the issue that you have. And you become a soft expert. Articles will come out, you have a very good idea, these are the 5 most popular ones. Maybe there's a mass adoption towards one specific product for the price range that you're at. And you're very clear about what you want. You haven't spoken to any professionals, but you have gotten a lot of information from them just online. So then you go online, you say, okay, well, where can I get this product? And Of course, JB Hi-Fi is online, but imagine if they weren't online. Okay, imagine if they weren't. Maybe you knew JB Hi-Fi and they were a constant person that you always went to, but then as the internet became more and more popular, let's say they didn't jump online. Slowly, you will be starting to buy your products from someone else. Maybe you still go to JB Hi-Fi in the end, maybe you give them the call, but at some point it's too much work, it's too much effort, you're not getting anything in return. In fact, being able to sit at home, go online and order something that you know you want is very easy. I mean, if you needed some expert advice, maybe you give them a call or maybe you go to a JB Hi-Fi store because you want that interaction. But if they're not online, they will be plummeting. But they are online because they know this. Of course they do. They're one of the biggest companies in Australia. Of course they know this. So that's why they're online, because they know that if they don't, they're really going to suffer for it. Okay, now we go into services. Let's say you want an accountant, right? So like I said before, I think I gave some examples as well when I was speaking about this, but an accountant would be with you through this whole process and they'd have a lot of opportunities to try and sell to you and to build rapport and say, hey, you can trust me and I'm an expert in what you need done, right? But in modern times, that isn't the case. It's the same thing, right? You go online, you have a look, you search for accountants. I did give this example before, but I'll quickly go through it again. And you look online, you look at the options there are. You maybe have 2 different accounting websites near you, maybe 10, and you pick the top 5 of which articulated the best, that have really good reviews, the number of reviews, maybe the images on their website, all these kind of things. You can think of a website really as an office, a digital office. And it has it's much more important than a physical office, which is funny because a physical office costs so much more. A website is not that expensive to get, a lot less than probably what you think. All right, so, and then of course, they pick the expert. So if you're not online, you're not part of the process. We did kind of go through that already. All right, so a lot of you may be having this on the tip of your tongue, word of mouth. My accounting firm is fine. I get plenty of referrals from people that I already currently service and it's enough people coming in, it's enough sales. Great. Look, word of mouth was very, very powerful traditionally before the internet because people didn't have access to information and knowledge. Therefore, they couldn't rely on their own take of if someone knew what they were talking about, right? Because they didn't have that understanding themselves. So they had to rely on trust. And the best way to trust someone is by listening to someone who you've been with for a long time. So maybe that's a family, a friend, a colleague, all these kind of things. Maybe, another business owner, it'd be bad for their business if they gave you a bad referral, so you can trust that side of them as well. So there was such a big weighting on word of mouth and trust. So if you recommended a certain professional, you're like, okay, that's the safest option, right? You're picking between 2 people. Oh, 2 of my colleagues said this guy was great. You're gonna go with them. But when it comes to modern, there are still cases where word of mouth, if someone really trusts someone so much that they gave them a referral to go to someone, yeah, of course they trust them, but they would have to trust the person who referred them to be the biggest expert, right? Because if someone refers, if just a friend refers an accountant to you and you're like, well, I know my friend doesn't do a whole lot of research and I know even if he's got it good, it's like there are so many good services out there. We live in a very competitive time right now where there's so many great services and really it's the marketing and sales that usually get people over the edge when it comes to getting clients. So even if nowadays, even if you get word of mouth, you still search, you still want to know, okay, what am I dealing with? What's my issue? I still want to have an understanding of how to fix my issue. I'm not saying you need to know the nitty gritty, but you want to have an idea of what you're dealing with and how to solve it. And naturally, you'll still go through the process. You'll go online, you'll look online, and then maybe a friend or a colleague has recommended an accountant, and you go to their website and they have a 4.5 star review average, average, and maybe 10 reviews, right? And then you go to another person, a direct competitor, and they have 500 reviews and once again a 4.4 star average rating, right? I guarantee you that person is still going to call up that the person that wasn't referred to them, the company that wasn't referred, right? Let's say they have a better website. Let's say they have better graphics. Let's say they have better images, and they articulate their sentences better online. You've actually learnt online from them, from their articles, from their product offering guides, like you've learnt about your issue just by going to their website, you're still going to call them up. The times where I say word of mouth today is really strong, it still is very powerful, but if you don't do the things you have to do, it's going to be useless, right? If someone gave a recommendation and they end up saying, okay, I'm going to have a look at, let's say, John Smith Accounting, right? The most common name in accounting, most likely. John Smith Accounting. And they look online, they look at the company, and they're like, oh wow, he's got an amazing website. He's got plenty of reviews. He's got videos talking about certain things. He's got a social that's constantly posting. The way he speaks about things is really like handy. The articles he makes is really good. His product guide is amazing. Hey, this product is exactly what I'm looking for. You've closed the sale instantaneously. But if you don't have those things in place, people will look for other options. If they don't go to your website and they're convinced straight away, they will go to other options. Okay, so although principally things haven't necessarily changed too much, the tools, the processes are completely different. And if you're not on the internet, then you really are shooting yourself in the leg. And then as more and more people transfer to these modern tendencies, already a huge amount of people are, right? But it's consistently growing. Every generation is using the internet more and more, and social media more and more than the generations previous. So as we constantly move towards here, if you don't have an internet, a digital presence, right, at least a website, you're really going to suffer. And at some point, you're going to be so far behind and so out of the loop that you simply won't be getting customers. And in fact, you may be losing customers because actually, you know what, that brings me to another point, digital marketing targeting potential, okay? I'm just going to briefly talk about this because it's really interesting stuff. Digital marketing gives you the option to, remember, what was it, 4.7 billion? It was somewhere around there, internet users, right, in the world. It allows you to target the people in the different phases that they're going through. You can target people who are maybe just realizing that they have an issue, and you can target them with specific things to bring them into your funnels so they're learning from you and you're actually building rapport with them in the same way that you would in a traditional sense. And then when they're evaluating options, you can be targeting them with specific ads that have a high chance of converting them into a paying customer, right? There are so many amazing things that digital marketing allows you to do today. And if you're not utilizing it as a business, you're really falling behind. Any top company today is utilizing digital marketing. It's the most no-brainer thing right now. And the biggest thing I get confused with is why people aren't getting on when it doesn't even cost that much to get on. It's a very low investment, right? You obviously have levels to these things, but the base investment, it's very small. To get a website, it does not cost that much. And it's something that I see with a part of my digital agency, who we do focus on accountants specifically, and all kind of connected to that, bookkeepers, tax advisors. The thing that I always go back to when talking to them is, what is the risk and reward in the end? If you don't do this, okay, let's say you don't believe I'm right. If you don't do this and I am right, the effects will be catastrophic for your company. You are done, believe me, you will be done. If I am right, if I'm not right, let's say, and you do decide to do it, what do you lose? To create a website, all right, when I say basic, I'm talking about maybe a website, some really basic SEO work, and maybe a little bit of social media activity. These things, once you have them set up, are so easy to do. And the investment, easily less than $10,000. Easily, without sweat, less than $10,000. To get a high quality website, a premium looking website, to make it all look nice and clean, articulated well, images, you're looking at about 10 grand, right? So, and that lasts you for a long time. That will last you for many years. So if you do decide to do it, and I am right, all right, but let's just say I'm not right, all you lose is 10 grand, right? Compared to potentially losing your entire company and business in the medium to long term. Yeah, guys, so this channel is all about digital marketing, digital transitions, all this kind of stuff. So if this is things that you're interested in, that you want to learn about how to utilize in the best way for your business, for your company, like I said, I do focus on accountants, but I really do cover all small businesses. I've worked with all kinds of small businesses. I've created some small businesses and sold out of them, e-commerce, all this kind of stuff. So if you do find this content valuable, please like, subscribe, comment below. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you are still unsure about. If you've got any questions, let me know, and I'll definitely get right to them. I'll read them all. If you have a topic that you would like me to speak about, please comment below, let me know, and I'm sure I'll make a video about that. I do these quite regularly. So yeah, thank you.